we talk about the principles, the first and foremost principle is about defining the objective, and second is to specify the variable. Whenever you talk about testing, whenever you talk about the evaluation, whenever you talk about the measurements, always define objective. Dear student, why most of a lot of variation and deviation? There is a lot of deviation with what the coach thinks, what the coach perceives, what the coach assesses, and what the student assesses. There is a lot of deviation. Why? Because both two different groups have two different objectives. Understand this concept. Because both of them have different objectives, they use different tests. Because they have different objective, the assessment, the evaluation will deviate. There's about it, a scenario, sports scenario of an athlete and a coach. If both of them are on the same or not on the same page, both of them are not on the same objective, yes, it will. So very important, it's necessary to understand the first two principles, that objective need to be defined, and if you recollect it out as, and once the objective and variable is clear, then the third variable, the third principle comes into play, that is we should always prepare a test blueprint. A testing blueprint is very essential, and one of the latest work which we have right now done is I think few weeks before Modi ji came up with the on a it is ending along with the Virat Kohli and all, he came on to launch the fitness protocol, which I think I discussed in the previous year, but it was on the experimental stage. If you recollect, I've said that there are 10,000 or 10 lakh, more than 10 lakh data which we are analyzing. Okay, and this fitness protocol has been launched. The fitness protocol is the blueprint of the test protocol. We call it as test protocol. That is the blueprint, how to do it, so that across India, whoever does the test should be same. Because you see, last year, it's a very live example. Last year, the test was done on on some players, say 20 players or 30 players. Those players are still existing. But you see, if we change the protocol of the test, and how will we be able to confidently say that his performance in that test parameter, in that variable, have decreased or improved? If we want to say that the performance in that particular test variable has decreased or improved, I'm very particular when I'm stating the line, performance in that particular test variable has decreased or improved, we need to have the common test protocol on both the occasions. If we have changed the test protocol by changing the tool, or by changing the distance, or by changing the condition, situation, or various other factor, whatever influences the test, it's very difficult for us to say. That is why professionally, when it comes to sports and physical education, testing protocols are very important, and this has been lacking for so many years in PE program. Now with the launch of the test protocols, it is available for age group of 5 to 18, and from 19 to 65 age group, these test protocols are available online, because it's important. Now whoever conducts the test, the protocol need to be followed in a similar way. Training is going on. So because that is the important principle. And in this test protocol, you see, objective has been defined. Objective has been defined, variable has been defined. That is why age group segregations has been done. Blueprints have been created. You talk about any professional sports, basketball, volleyball, swimming, athletics, football, hockey, tennis, badminton, table tennis, any other sport, they have clearly defined their objectives. All the teams, state teams, national teams, club teams, league teams, they have defined their objectives. And After setting the objective, they have defined the variables, and then on the basis of those variables, they have decided, they have cleared the, they have prepared the test blueprints, because these are principles. And then once you have the test blueprints, then for a particular variable you may have more than one options. And when you have more than one options, rightly, you have already, most of you have mentioned that why did you choose a test, because some few tests were administrative feasible in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of effort, or some tests were technically strong. You just recollect your responses. You changed your response because on few occasions you changed your response because you said, you thought that due to the technical consideration you get more accurate, you get more valid results, so you change your response. Some of you changed your response because you said that in the initial variable the administrative feasibility is much easier, the cost may be too high in it, in a chest strap the cost may be too much, so let's, if it is a normal assessment of a measurement of a heart rate, need not go for a chest strap, you can manage it administratively feasible, stethoscope is much easier, you may opt for that. But when it comes to a dynamic nature of an activity like sports, football, volleyball, basketball, etc., etc., the same equipment, the test which had an administrative feasibility may lose his administrative feasibility. So you have to weigh between the technical considerations as well as the administrative considerations. You may not be able to use a test which is technically very authentic but administratively not feasible. Administratively, when I say will come in detail, it may be due to the cost factor, it may be due to the time factor, it may be due to the skill factor and various other factors. But in sometimes this again one of the very important principles. And then surely the other principle is you need to make it scientific in nature. The test procedures, this is you have to focus. When you set the things, you should be in a position, you should have the skill set. When you will be given, there are a lot of scope, dear master degree students, to work with the Sports Authority of India, with Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, with various other professional league teams, as scientific researchers, as junior scientific officers. Right now, more various vacancies have already been uploaded on the internet and newspapers by the sports authorities. They need people who can develop the test, who can design the test. Government has come up with their objectives and variables, but they need to have a scientific protocol. Who's gonna develop? Physical educationists, you need to develop the skill sets to come up with standard tests. And one last important principle of measurement evaluation is that testing is never a end process. It is always a continuous process. It's always a continuous process, and never ever believe that testing should be done at the last. And this, when I say this, it is applicable every assignment, every challenge, every task, every activity, wherever you work with this, by working in these principles. Yes, you've been assessed, because the principle says it has to be a continuous process. That is why this continuous process of evaluation has been integrated into the educational curriculum also, not only for this subject, for all the subject across. In the new education policy also it is. In class 10th it was already introduced, which stopped in between, that is CCE, continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Because on one day you had a injury, you on one day you were having fever, you could not give the test or you could not perform to the maximal, and you lost the marks, it cannot be done. It has to be continuous process. That gives a fair, because this is the principle. So this is what you need to understand. So what I mean to say is that when you understand this, when you have, that is why when the teacher talks to you to write in a file about the testing, lab testing in lab, you will be writing the objective, You will be asked to write the variable. In the blueprint, you will be asked to write the administrative procedures. You will be asked to write the evaluation and result to see how scientific you have made it. These are the process. In a file, if just read, so it will vary. Yeah. So with this note, we end today's session, and that's all from my side. And do focus on the question which I have given you in the assignment. The date is nearing. Think about it. Read all the assessment criteria before answering it out, and the class is open for discussion. Anyone can ask the questions. Thank you.